Now, I've been doing a lot of different things for many years on Weber Kettle. I've smoked and grilled and dehydrated just about anything you can do on the grill. And there are a handful of things that are very important to both the cooking aspect of it as well as the maintenance and longevity of it. So today's video is actually about the top 7 things all Weber Kettle users need to know. What I see people do often, and they'll take their lit charcoal and they'll pour it in their kettle, spread these out, and they're thinking, I'm going to get some good even heat here. I'm going to get this heat all distributed evenly. So when I put my grill on, my grate on, I can utilize my entire grate. So I can get more burgers on there, more steaks, whatever the case may be. But then the problem is, whatever they're cooking is going to drip grease and fat and cause massive flare-ups from the charcoal. And the problem is you lose control, you limit your control basically, of what you can do with your Weber Kettle. But the way to prevent that whole thing, the solution to this whole problem, is don't do your charcoal like this. Do your charcoal all to one side and create what they call 2-zone cooking, where you have a hot side and a cooler side. Not cold, obviously it's still warm, still hot in here, but not like it would be over the charcoals. So when you have your grate in and you're cooking over here, you can just slide stuff over here if you got flare-ups. If you got it over the charcoal and it's too hot and you got burgers going, just slide them over here, or rotate your whole grate. Your grate slide around so you can have it different areas. It makes it so much easier to control the flare-ups and the flame-ups and the massive searing you'll get at times. Now, of course, you want searing when you're doing steaks or burgers, even you can sear them off when you're done. That way I can kind of finesse my meat. If I need to get a little hotter, I can slide closer to the charcoal if I need to, or get it further away. But this way, 2-zone cooking really gives you a lot more control over what's going on inside your grill. So there you go. That's number 1 on the list of things I wish I knew before I started. Now, the second thing I actually touched on during the first thing, and that's when you have that problem with burgers that are too cooked on the outside but not cooked enough on the inside. They're raw or they're just overcooked, one or the other. One thing that leads to that, and that's one thing I want to share with you guys right now, is this thermometer here on the Weber Kettle. Don't rely on it being accurate, because what's happening usually is you've got your vent over the meat, so that when the heat comes up, the vent pulls that heat and smoke flavor across the grill and hits your meat and then escapes out the vent. But that puts your temperature, your thermometer, over top of the hot side where all the charcoals are, and that makes it read very wrong. So it's very hard to really rely on this thermometer. The solution for that is to get yourself a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi thermometer. Don't rely on this. For example, when I smoke a brisket, I know that my brisket's on this side where the vent is, and I know my thermometer my Bluetooth thermometer reads 225, which is what I want it to read. This thermometer will read 300 to 325, so anywhere from 75 to 100, sometimes even a little higher than that, because it's right over the heat. And so you can't rely on that. So if you rely on this to be getting things done, you think, gosh, it's just cooking at 400 degrees. At the grate level, it may be 150, and you're not getting anywhere. You're like, why am I not getting done? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I got 2-zone cooking going on, and I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get here. That's the problem. Don't rely on this thermometer. Get you one of these Bluetooth thermometers. Allows you to tempt the temperature at the grate level. It'll save you a lot of problems down the road, and you'll get a lot better food out of it. All right, guys, next, I want to use my little Weber Kettle 18-inch down here to show you something that may seem kind of minor, but could have major implications in the longevity and the upkeep of your kettle for long term. Now, as I remove the lid from this Weber Kettle, and then also remove the grate, you'll notice down the bottom, there's a big bunch of ashes in there. That's what I'm talking about. That's the longevity issues you're gonna have with your kettle. Ashes are like a sponge for moisture. They just draw moisture in, and what happens when you leave ashes in the bottom of your kettle, they form a cake or a patty down there, and that moisture just sits against the metal of your kettle, causing corrosion, pitting, and ultimately rusting and holes. And then your Weber Kettle's unusable. So you drive down the road and you see that guy's got a Weber Kettle up by his heat pump and jacked up beside the house. That probably has rust and erosion, corrosion in the bottom of it. He's not kept it covered. He's probably got ashes in there galore and it got caked in there. So you want to remove those ashes every time you cook. Because if you have one of these and you're cooking out one night and you want to empty your ashes right away, you got to wait till the next morning, most likely, because those ashes will be super hot and you could catch something on fire if they blow around, some wind's blowing, it may blow some hot embers somewhere. So at least do it the next morning. Don't forget to do it. As I said, it's very crucial. Don't leave ashes in here for any length of time. But by all means, don't forget to do it. And this is the lever we're talking about that removes the ashes. I'll slide it back and forth. You'll see ashes fall from the kettle. And it falls into this little plate, little frisbee right here. Now, the premium and beyond has that canister you see on the one over there that catches all the ashes there. And it's just this is simple. Now, this lever is going to play a major role and the most important part of what we're going to talk about today. But the big thing here, guys, is to make sure you remove the ashes just as soon as you can. So if you put your kettle up for 2 or 3 months, it's okay. It's going to be safe. And speaking of cleaning out the ashes, now there's a big difference between cleaning out ashes and cleaning your kettle. We want to clean the ashes out, like I said, every single time we use our kettle. We want to deep clean or clean our kettle just once a year probably. It's not necessary to do more than that. When you do that, you get rid of all the oils and all the flavors and all the seasoning you've put into that kettle. You don't want to get rid of that on a regular basis. And along with that, guys, when it comes time to clean your cooking grate, hey, you don't have to do a big scour on that thing either. The charcoal for your next cook will preheat and kill every germ on that grate that you got to worry about. Don't worry about doing a big thorough cleaning on it either. So just clean your ashes out on a regular basis, but only deep clean your kettle once a year. You'll be good to go. Can you see that deer? Little baby right there. Itty bitty baby deer. How cool is that? All right, folks, next is going to be something that I think everyone's been guilty of sometime or another. I know I have been. And it's related to leaving ashes in your kettle that causes that moisture concern. Now, I did a cook a couple days ago for 4th of July. It was a pretty good sized cook. I did a number of briskets, pork butts, a number of different things. I used smoke and sizzle, slow and sears, all sorts of different devices. And I've left my smoke and sizzle in this one for this video purpose only. Now, you'll notice right there, I'll shake this a little bit. You'll see the juices and the fat and the grease and oils, as well as charcoal and ash. It's gone down underneath there. This is just a big melting pot for problems right here. Everything you don't want in here is in here right now. Where this causes a problem is if you don't cook very often, you may leave this in here for 2 or 3 months before you come back to your kettle. If you're not going to cook like I do 2 or 3, 4 times a week, you may not see this very often because you don't use it very often. And that's where you have problems. This moisture is going to cause mold inside the kettle. You'll have your lid will get nasty, your kettle will get nasty. You'll see pitting and corrosion and rust. It's just a really bad disaster waiting to happen. So be sure and get it out as fast as you can. And it doesn't have to be something that holds moisture. It could be something like the Vortex even, because the Vortex, if you leave it in there, you've obviously left your ashes in there as well. And so those ashes will cause you to have the problem I'm talking about. So, you know, obviously once you've cleaned out your kettle, if you want to store stuff in there, you can do that. But if you've not cleaned out your ashes and got the moisture out of there, that kind of thing, don't store stuff in there till you've done that. Otherwise, feel free to. But guys, just get the stuff out of there as fast as you can. All right, folks, next is something that's very much up for debate as to whether it's beneficial or detrimental to your kettle or to your cooking. I use it on every single one of my kettles, but I want to show you what it is here on my small 18-inch. I've not done it to my 18-inch yet. I'm going to show it to you right now. Smoker gasket is an item that helps, in my opinion, to retain heat as well as the smoke flavor within your kettle. It's debatable because some people believe that it actually alters the way the kettle's supposed to work and changes things up. I think it does a great job. I have no problem. Every one of my kettles has it on there except for this one. Now, the way this works is it has an adhesive built into it, built on the back of it, and you'll just remove the white liner, and you'll just line the edge of your kettle all the way around. It'll stick, of course, as you go. Put the lid on, hold it there for 30 seconds to a minute so that it forms a good bond between the lid and the kettle, so it has a good form and shape to it. Don't cook on it for 12 hours is what the instructions say. Let it really stick to the lid. Now, if you have a kettle at home right now and you've been using it for a while and you've got a lot of stuff on it, make sure you use a scraper blade or something to clean the lip of this kettle where you're going to put that adhesive. Otherwise, you're ruining the point of using it because you're not going to have a good bond to it. So, by all means, clean it really well and put it on. Guys, I love the stuff. I think it does a great job with smoke retention as well as heat retention. I think you should use it. There'll be a link in the description if you want to. All right, guys, let's talk about the most important item on the list today. Now, what makes it the most important is that it affects your success or your failure more than anything else we've talked about today. And your better understanding of how it works will reap great benefits for your food. Now, you'll notice I said there's 2 vents on the Weber kettle. There's one on the lid here, the upper vent, and there's a lower vent down there I'll show you just in a second. This one is more geared towards fine-tuning your temperature, so we'll talk about that one in a minute. Down in the kettle, you'll see there's the paddles that we talked about earlier to use for ash removal. They also have the dual purpose of opening up the vent holes here. Now, as we go to the bottom of the kettle, as you close the lever, the vents are completely closed up here inside the kettle. As you open it, you'll notice as I pull it to the right, the vents start to open. And now I have it all the way open now. Based on what this logo shows here, it's 100% open. That's where I want to start my cooking at. I want to have it wide open when I start cooking and start smoking because I want to be able to get enough fire in there, enough oxygen in there to keep a good fire started. As I get closer to my goal temperature, which may be 225, we start closing this lever a little bit as we get closer. 180, 190, 200, we start closing it slowly. That's a big, big thing. People don't realize how long it takes to get a reaction, but I promise you, every movement you make with your lever here, with these vents, will have a reaction with your kettle. Give it time, 10 or 15 minutes sometimes for a temperature change to happen. People want to go, it's at 225, let's close it that way up. And then all of a sudden, it takes a long time, it takes 10 or 15, so you close it even more. You got to give it time to react. So just wait for it to give it 10 or 15 minutes and get used to how quick it takes or how long it takes to make a change, and then you can slowly adjust your kettle accordingly. What some people will do when they get it used to it, and they've got this one adjusted, they put Sharpie markers on the casing right here to let them know where they're at. If they're 225 or 250, 300, whatever whatever the case may be for you, you can adjust accordingly right there and put it where you need to put it. As you get closer to your temperature, down low, you can actually utilize this vent now. You'll have it open normally, fully, and then you'll start closing this one up as well as you start getting closer to 225. You want to just get it zoned in, and that's where you really get your 225 for long term. But the big secret, guys, is to take your time when you make adjustments with the kettle vents. A reaction of some sort will happen. It will definitely happen. Just give it time to happen. Nonetheless, guys, that's a crash course on temperature control, but there's a lot to it, guys. And so I may do another video just talking about temperature control. If you'd like to see that, just make a comment about that, because it can be a lot. We certainly hope you enjoyed today's video and got some benefit out of it. Right now, I'm pointing to a link to a video that in the description of that video is a listing of all the different kettle-style grills Weber has. Go check those out. See the different sizes, different pricing, all the attachments that come with each one of them. See which one best suits you and get one and get outside cooking. On the right side of your screen, you'll see my logo. And if you click on that logo, you can then hit the subscribe button. We certainly would appreciate that. Guys, we thank you so much for watching our video today. And until next time, I'll meet you at the smoke.